Hey guys and gals, currently it is April 12th, 2020 and I am doing another bike ride, but today I will be visiting a friend, but this time I'm not going to his house. Today we are going for a bike ride. So currently we are heading towards Leslie and Sheppard, so we're heading eastbound. We're pretty much going to Leslie Station. And that's where I'm going to be meeting with Michael. And today's trip, we will be going on the Dawn River Trail, which starts at Leslie from where we're going to be starting off. We're going to be going northbound towards just past Finch, where there's a fork, and then it's going to be a trail that will be taking us all the way back to Yonge and Finch area, or Finch subway station. The first 6 minutes and 42 seconds of this current video is actually just me going towards Leslie. Of course, a lot of cutting. So if you guys want to skip over, that would be totally up to you. Now, over here, we are obviously at the end of the trail where I normally go towards the Mech. But going down to Leslie, I am hopping on Sheppard Avenue East, going of course eastbound towards Leslie, and lucky for me this is a more or less complete downhill. The unlucky part is I either have to deal with this road, which as you can see is horrid, or I'd have to deal with these sidewalks, which going, well, 30-40 kilometers an hour, you don't really want to hit a pedestrian.
Smooth. One moment.
Right over here, unfortunately, I was cruising to a stop because the red light and goes super close. I had to a little bit go to the right a bit, but he couldn't wait for literally a second to go into the right-hand lane. That's just showing how people are being very reckless currently. I mean, I was just cruising to a stop because unlike a car, you can't just stop on a dime, and even then, on dry pavement, cars need time to stop, same as bikes. So I was cruising to a stop, and of course he looked at me or she and wanted to just pass. So there it is, right? But now that downhill is finished, Leslie is just a little bit ahead, and I'm just going to be meeting my good friend Michael over there. And knowing me, I'm going to be a little early, and he's going to be a few minutes late. So I'll probably just be relaxing a little bit and just waiting for him right at the entrance. And just to the right of me, we are passing by the Leslie subway station, which there is the current entrance, and there's one right at the intersection. Over here, I had to walk towards the entrance just because it makes no sense for me to go on the road right into, well, this spot, considering the fact that there's so much traffic, so I decided to walk my bike.
Now we just wait. Boom.
Let's go, buddy.
Oh, whoops.
Ready?
Yep, I'm ready. Let's go.
Ready.
I like the hat.
And now we are entering the Dawn River Trail heading northbound. Today is just one of those days where we're just gonna see if we could do a whole circuit like we used to do, going pretty much from Leslie and Sheppard to more or less Leslie and Finch, and then all the way to Yonge and Finch, and then probably all the way back down to more Yonge and Sheppard area. So today's more of a day where we are really just testing ourselves. This is one of Michael's probably first ride of the year, considering the fact that he's been super busy with school, but also, well, weather has not been exactly kind. The only reason why I was out cycling a lot was mostly due to my knees, trying to get them back into shape. And of course, even though this is one of my later rides, being ride number 12, I'm still nowhere near where I exactly want to be, considering I've only done just over a month of exercise and cycling to get myself back into shape for it, for my last knee injury. Like I said, for these trails, they are really good because it's one of those where you don't have to worry about any cars or anything like that, because it's literally a bicycle trail / walking trail. Obviously pedestrians you do have to look out for, but it is one of those things where it's just riding.
Show me that bridge.
And that's what we're here to do. And right over here on this bridge is extremely, and I do mean extremely, tricky to navigate around.
Don't forget to use on the brakes.
When it's wet, it's super slippery even with mountain bike tires. And just going around that bend, trust me, there's a lot of cyclists or people running, so you have to be very careful. Luckily for us, we have music playing in the background, courtesy of Michael's JBL speaker, of course. So he likes to blast it around so people can hear him coming. And of course, you've been hearing me use my bell more than a few times, just so that way people are aware that there is a cyclist coming, or at least someone is coming from behind. One thing I do love about this particular trail is, even though it is just around the corner from my place, and including Michael's place, these trails that you don't expect, but it's one of those where you don't feel like you're in the city anymore or in your neighborhood.
Yeah.
It really takes you out of your normal elements, and we just get to enjoy nature and enjoy just a good ride.
not used to this. Wheel doesn't help. Going uphill, right? Oh, another. You guys came from there, right?
That was it.
I knew I wasn't gonna make that. I'm good.
We managed to go through that little roadblock because apparently it is actually safe to go through. They were saying there's nothing really bad. I mean, I'm sure if some cops came, there might be some issues.
Yeah, I just trying to get some of that in my foot.
But it is one of those things where everyone was doing it, and apparently there's a lot of people walking through this little trail going through, so we said, you know what, we'll just go around the fence like everybody else, and we'll just go through. They did notify us, though, that at the end of this trail, this part of the trail, you will see another roadblock, but how else are you supposed to get in, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh. Here comes the rougher terrain.
And as this trail continues, you can see that there is a lot more rougher spots, some dirt on the trail, even some areas where instead of the pavement, there is more of a gravel area, just the way it is kind of thing. But it's one of those where it does present a nice little obstacles to get around on our mountain bike. It's just a nice little twist, so to speak. And as you can see, a lot of times when there is dogs, you will see me slow down a lot more, especially on these paths, because sometimes you will have a dog where they see you coming at a good speed, and there's two things that happen. One, the dog thinks that you could potentially be a threat, which I have yet to see, but it is a possibility. And the second, which is I find more common, is usually they might think you're something to play with. So for me, I like to slow down a lot more so that way you don't have any issues and there's nothing like threatening whatsoever.
How's your tire? That's good. Okay, we're gonna stop for a second. I'm trying to look. We gotta go right.
And now we're at the other end of the roadblock, so we're just going to go around like last time. This one was a little more tricky, as you can see. Kind of got a little stuck. I should have followed Michael because his bike is bigger than mine. He was out a lot faster. And we were going to go left, as you can tell right over here, but Michael realized there's something wrong with the seat, so we had to actually just stop at this little fork in the road and need to borrow my multi-tool, and then we would just kind of hop back to it once he finished.
Yeah, no, we came from there. You just gotta go around the fence. Everyone's walking it right now.
And as you can see, some people just asked us whether or not you're allowed to go through that area, just like we asked some people earlier.
Ready when you are.
And now they're going through there, and we're just continuing on our little path. We're still heading a little bit north, but we're pretty close to finishing this part of the trail. And then from there we have to do the dreaded 700-meter ride, going 40 meters of elevation, which I knew was coming, and I was dreading this entire ride. Right over here, I find this area. At night, when you just have a bike light and you see the trees, you feel like you're in Muskoka, and you feel like you're at least 100 kilometers away from the city. It's just a great time, especially at night. You see all the kind of animals, no people on the road, on the trail, and it's just a fun ride when you have good company.
Let's stop right here for a second.
And now we are back doing the 700-meter trail uphill, going about 40 meters of elevation. And for something that is surprisingly not that steep, it is a really long and, well, I would say dreadful ride going up. Going down is quite fun, of course, but going up this is one of the worst hills I've ever done. And I've gone up from York Mills all the way to Sheppard. That was easier, okay? That was easier. For this one, I've only been able to complete once, and I've done this specific trail going, well, west, maybe 6-7 times, and I've only managed to complete it once. Even before my knee injury.
I feel my hamstrings.
As you can hear from what I just said, I could feel my hamstrings mostly because this is a Saturday, and Friday is when I do my hamstrings for deadlifts and things like that. And oh my word, when it comes to the knee rehabilitation or the rehab, you have to do it. It's one of those things. So like, I knew I was going to bike ride with Michael, but at the same time I had to go do the deadlift, so doing this one really hurt. Actually, I was keeping a decent pace at this point, but I think the problem was I was still not quite used to this, so I couldn't do it from here, so I had to walk pretty much the rest of the trip. And right over here, I was just cutting through the grass, just instead of snaking along with the trail. And then when I got to the top and met Michael there, we took a really long rest. From here, my legs were still on fire, as you can see how slow I'm moving to get the thing started. But kind of once I got the ball rolling, then, you know, just continually picking up momentum. One thing I like about this part of the trail is, one, it's flat, but also, even if there's a lot of people around, usually everyone's kind of making their way through, and you're just enjoying what's just around you. The company you keep, or if you're just doing a solo ride, it's just focusing on getting to where you want to go. And over here, well, at these type of intersections, there's always, and I do mean always, some people usually just trying to cross the street for something or just taking the trail like we are.
Yeah, show up.
And going through this area in particular I quite enjoy because you're mostly doing a downhill and then a slight uphill.
I see him. Hi.
Now right over here, you can't quite see it right now, but there are two people at the bottom, right before the bend, just chatting right in the middle of the trail. And as you can see, Michael had to swing by, and I had to go into the other lane, so if somebody was cutting through, going my direction, I might have been hit right there. So it's one of those things where if you're going to stop and talk with someone, please just go to the side of a trail. You wouldn't put a car in a lane, stop, and then walk out and leave. I mean, it's just common sense, realistically. I mean, I expect this out of kids, not fully grown adults.
Uphill.
And this little hill is surprisingly not actually that bad, but it is one of those things where my legs were still on fire from when I did that earlier elevation. So for me going through this, I had to drop my chain into one of my lower settings and just kind of pump my leg. But even though they weren't really pushing and I was just getting myself up, it was just fire. I needed a break.
Let's stop here for a second.
And thus concludes part 1 of 2 parts of April 12th's bike ride. This would be more or less the halfway point where I more or less needed to stop and, well, drop to the floor. So thank you all for watching one of my videos, and hope you all liked it. And hope you all get to see the second part of the whole trip. Thank you again.